music, and as a matter of fact, did quite a bit of work in the on getting the historical data, the whole evolution of the music. We're going to delve into part 2. We did part 1 last week. So we are going to head across to Paris and welcome the godfather of Kedas Lipso. As we say good evening to Gordon Henderson. Bonsoir Gordon, Sagafet.
Eh ben, moi là.
Tout bagay, eh ben moi la Kachebe comme toujours comme d'habitude. Eh ben c'est un grand week-end à Dominique, c'est fête maman, grand week-end à Dominique et puis Rozo même t'es rempli pile monde à Rozo, moi t'es qu'à préparer quoi yo pour grand fête maman.
Ouais, mais ça c'est significatif, hein, c'est super, nous ni pour fêter les mamans.
Absolument. Last week, Gordon, we delved into part 1 in our special webinar series on Calypso. Tonight, we decided to head to part 2, and mainly because we wanted more time and we wanted to really give a more constructive session to our listeners and our viewers so that they could better understand and appreciate the variations in Calypso music. It's all yours now. Ian Jackson's already seated. We are expecting Dada, Lawrence, and also Daryl, Bobb. Like we said, we have turned it around. So Ian Jackson tonight, we are going to have it differently. And we're even inviting our audience listening to us to actually give us your feedbacks. And if you maybe have questions on Gordon's presentation, it's going to be an interactive session. So Ian, we could actually have it different. We're going to have it differently, and we will be interacting with Gordon Henderson as he move along. So once again, it's over to you, Gordon.
Well, good evening. Hello, Wadix. Hello, Ian. Since we didn't have much time the last time, probably we could steal some time and start with Ian, who didn't have a chance to talk about the anthropology part. That's what we did the last time. And this time we're going to talk about the commercializing. And we noticed a lot of the people who commented last week went all the way asking questions about selling bouillon and that sort of thing. That people are not very patient about, because we started from Columbus, the slave plantation, and we came right across to the present day. So probably Ian didn't have much time to react and to support or contradict. Probably we should start with Ian this evening.
Okay, Ian Jackson.
Yeah, okay, good night, Gordon. I did make a small contribution the last time, but I'm glad to be back again on the program, to delve into it, because as you know, for a great part of my life, I've been writing on the papers weekly, on the Chronicle and on the Sun newspaper in particular, for some 35 years non-stop on the arts, and guys like your name have come up so many times in Exile One from my writings all those years and so on. Yes, well, basically, you made a very important point that stuck with me the last time, and Dada was one of those guys who some time ago when I hosted the program, he mentioned that we should not try and isolate bouillon as a art form by itself. I think you also hinted to that it shouldn't be considered like a genre, or it is an offshoot of something happening. For instance, like how you have reggae, and you had ska first, and then you had reggae and the different versions of varieties coming out from that main genre, which was reggae music, and of course ska and so on. Ska was first, of course, and then other things branched out from it. So same thing Dada is already feeling, and I also shared opinion that in terms of our music, and we should not like for instance bouillon, or we trying to take on bouillon as an art form of its own, then bouillon probably could be under the umbrella of soca music, because basically they come from that same sort of structure and so on. And to try and market it is like starting again, although we are making waves right now, but we don't want it to be something temporary. We could also utilize the whole idea of soca and bouillon. As a matter of fact, Trinidadian met me some time ago, that's during Carnival time, and he couldn't really identify too much. Well, of course, he's not a musician, but he could not really identify very clearly the differences between the bouyon music and the soca music. They were so intermixed, especially the fast-paced stuff. And I happened to judge in Trinidad 2 times, and I could see our bouyon music easily fitting into a soca competition. That is designed for basically that type of audience, the Trini audience. And that's why I think it has gravitated so much with those persons. You also mentioned the idea about that the French connection with our music and so on, which is very, very clear and in terms of that. And I, in Wadix ad, and when he was advertising the whole musical structure and everything else, and he spoke about development and in this present time and so on. I was very happy to hear it because I myself, when I did my thesis in music, not was music, but my thesis in branding and so forth for music, I did a dissertation called Ecotourism and Music Entertainment, examining Dominica's Creole music brand in augmenting the visitor experience. And I held it with me because I said I might be able to draw from some of the information that I have there, because I actually did some empirical analysis. I went around Dominica, I went to various hotels, as many hotels I could go to. I went to tourist sites as the Trafalgar Falls and so forth, to feel the vibes and to feel and to interview tourists as to what they were saying about the music and the experience. So I trust in terms of tonight, as you lead the way with the discussion, we will follow and of course learn from you, of course, as an elder to a person like me in the music, and learn and see your perspective. I also read something of your publication many years ago, Zoukland. I have also referenced that in the dissertation I did. So basically, I'm really looking forward to have a wonderful experience, Gordon, tonight, and I trust our listeners, will learn a lot from what happens tonight, like I will also learn from what is being discussed tonight. So I'll pause here, and I will say that as we go along, I will join the discussion, and we'll, give our different inputs as to what we feel and the direction in terms of the ethnology of the music and so on, and the direction it should take, even in terms of promotion and branding the music and so on. Just to say one last point, an interesting comment was made by Colton T in the Jazz Festival, which we had here, and where he said that there should be no division per se, and there are some between the different music played, and there are some people who believe that sometime, not too long in the distant future, music will just be music. There'll be no kadas, there'll be no reggae, it will just be music, and that's an interesting situation. So basically, I am here to add to the discussion tonight, and I trust that, of course, we'll leave more empowered and in terms of our direction to our own music, because we're trying to seek a way where we can actually have our music on the map. And bouyon music is now making waves, but we must remember Calypso one time made the waves, then soca came soca, so there has been an evolution, and the evolution continues even tonight. So I trust that in our discussions we'll talk about that, Gordon.
Okay, also with us is Daryl, Bobb, and just coming across now is Krishna, Dada, Lawrence. So Bobb, how are you, Bobb?
I'm good, feeling good.
Enjoying the weekend?
Enjoying the weekend in peace, It's about relaxation for me.
So what we actually doing now, in as much we didn't have an opportunity to actually dialogue, tonight we are going to be doing the special webinar differently. We're going to have it more interactive. So just before Gordon going to part 2, we just kind of going over some of the areas of last week, and if you had any areas of concern or questions you may have to Gordon, we will do that first before we go into part 2.
Okay, let me just say that after having this very extended conversation last week about the Calypso and its origins, it is really, really my interest for being here as a Calypsonian myself for the last 20 odd years. I've won the title of Monarch twice. I am also the secretary of the Dominica Calypso Association. I think it's time that we try to hurry up, get to the point where we make the people understand what is the importance of Calypso to them. And when I say the people, I mean everyone, from the administration of the country all the way down to the common man. Why is this Calypso thing in our lives? And what does it serve? And what is the intention of it beyond just where we are right now?
I think this is very pertinent, and I really hope that with our part 2, we can reach some areas where we can educate the entire nation from the top to the man on the ground, the man on the street, and let's hope we can really evangelize this real concept of we are seeing a repeat of what happened with Creole language. We are seeing a repeat of, I'm not sure if it's a colonial stigma, where something which is so important for us is now going for a challenge where we're not even sure why it is going for that challenge. Because it is so unique for us. It is a documentary of what takes place on a yearly basis. It's an opportunity for us to revisit our ancestors and what they fought for, but yet still there's so much resistance in several areas. So let's hope that our discussion this evening can kind of move to a level where we can better understand and disseminate the information so people out there can receive it more palatable and even understand and even put some more energy and place it in a situation where we can preserve it and we can understand that Calypso. It started off with Calypso and there were several variations. Dada, welcome.
Yeah,
and basically we are just going over part 1. And if you may have any questions or you may have any concerns as to part 1, to direct to Gordon so he can, before he goes into part 2. And tonight we're going to make it more interactive. We're not going to do it like the last time where he had his presentation and after we speak. We're going to do it in between. We can ask him questions and stop at any point and ask him to elaborate on any question or any area of the discussion. So that's your area of welcoming you. Happy to have you. And your overview on last week.
Well, last week was very informative, and Gordon gave a lot of from the genesis of the music and the cultural aspects and significance. But Bobb and Jacko had a lot of pertinent questions to Gordon, and they kind of really ask all of the right questions I would have loved to ask myself up to the point where we stopped last week. So the questions I would have was really more so into the topic that Gordon was about to get into. So I just want to wait for us to get into that part, and then I will formulate my questions and we'll ask as we go along.
Okay, so Gordon, it's over to you for your presentation part 2, and hopefully at some point in time later you have a song, I think entitled Calypso.
Yeah, very good. Very good. It's right with it. Well, good evening, Bobb and Dada. I've already spoken to Jacko. I never call him Jacko. I call him Ian.
You call him by the colonial name there. And you afraid Jacko and
Yes.
reminds you of Bala and Kongore.
Okay, we will call him Jacko. Then.
Yeah.
Okay, so before you guys came, he made a summary of last week. But there are two important points that he brought up. One is there seem to be 2 schools of thought. I spoke about it last time, and I don't know if it's necessary I'm hesitating a little bit with speaking because I was seeing you guys very well, and I like the idea of seeing you guys, and I'm only seeing myself now. So it makes it a little bit difficult to communicate. But in any case, I was saying that Jacko brought up 2 important points. One of them is a school of thought where people believe, and listen to me carefully, that the music of the Caribbean are moving in stop and start. So there's no continuity. So it had, for some reason, there's no timeline So people eliminate all the forms that preceded when it was called Calypso. And last year, not last year, in the last episode, we noted that from 1930, probably 1910, to the 1970s, people consider this is the era and the variation that people will call Calypso. So that is Calypso. After that,